People for my final speech. Hi, my name is Allison Jennings, and this is my persuasive speech about camera recordings being mandated across all daycare centers. So as many of you here are parents, do you guys know what is happening with your children right now as we speak? Yeah. So unfortunately, as working parents, it's difficult to maintain the security and safety of knowing where your children are at every point in the day. This is why I believe that having camera recordings mandatory in daycare centers is such a high priority, as it'll allow us to continue to work and yet still be able to monitor our children. This is obviously very important to me, as I'm soon to be mother of a second child, and both my children will be enrolled in daycare within less than 6 months. As society, we should all take it upon ourselves to ensure that the youth is as safe as possible, because they are our future, and we need to be sure that we're investing that time and effort into all of them. Which brings us to our first point. What are the benefits of actually having the camera recordings in the classrooms? So first and foremost, it's beneficial for the parents. As society has changed dramatically in the last few decades, more families have two parents that are working than not. And as this is such a common occurrence, there are many children that are enrolled in daycares. It would be very beneficial for the parents if they would be able to check in on their children at any point throughout the day, and kind of to give them the reassurance that everything is all right, and allow them to continue working throughout their day without having to wonder what if with their children. It also allows them to maintain their children's behaviors. Currently, the general way of this is word of mouth from your child care provider. So they might come to you and mention that your child has not taken their nap, or is not eating effectively, or whatever the case may be, and that it's expected to change. Well, now you can see what the behaviors are prior to and during the incident, so that you can actually try and help change it instead of just expect it to change because you were told to do so. So it kind of opens up a different way of parenting while still not with them. So you're able to kind of help out the daycare and make sure that everything is moving effectively. So next, the benefits for the daycare. There are many benefits for the daycare. The first and foremost is that it provides the reassurance for the parents, which makes the parents more likely to enroll in that specific daycare. So as we're trying to get camera monitoring mandatory throughout, it's currently the higher end daycares actually provide camera recordings, and they actually charge you a fee to go online and check your child. Now, the fee should be included in the daycare cost, as all the equipment and everything is already paid for. But if we make it mandate that they're required to show these recordings, then you won't have to pay that larger fee just to check on your child. So if we can also build a dialect between the daycare provider and the parents by allowing them to monitor what's going on throughout the day, the parents are then able to come back to the daycare provider, which gives better service to the parents, the children, and the provider all together. So it kind of encompasses a way to improve the daycare, and it has like a snowball effect. And once you improve the daycare for that child and make it easier for that parent, they're more likely to stay with you, they're more likely to pay into your incentives and other things like that. So it actually helps to build your business, and it's a very large benefit in that aspect. So we've already covered how it's a benefit for the parents and how it's a benefit for the daycares. Now let's discuss what I think is the most important topic, the number of senseless deaths that have occurred in daycares to young children. So for anybody that watches the news, you can see, especially this time of year, in Texas, there have been several cases in the last couple of years where children were left out in the heat whether that be in a car or just out in the play area, and they've actually died because of this issue. This is unacceptable, obviously. Nobody thinks to leave a child in a car is an okay situation, especially in the heat that we experience here in Texas, which we already have in just early June. So if we could require recordings to make sure that everything's okay, us as parents, we could monitor and say, all right, my child's transporting from point A to point B at this time. Let me monitor and make sure that they got out of the car safe. And we could do so with the camera recordings. On AWOL News, I found an article about a fire at a home daycare in Houston, Texas, where the actual child provider wasn't even on site when the fire started. So she was in charge of 7 children, 4 of which died, and she was out shopping at Target. Now they have camera recordings of her shopping at Target because clearly as a society we feel it's more important to record our shopping experience than to record our children's experience. And if they had a camera recording on the premise, I don't think that she'd be as likely to go out and do her shopping. Well, there's several kids at her home. The name of the facility was Jackie's Child Care. It was run by a middle-aged woman, and she had no help. So she had 7 kids in this home, no help, and decided to step out and run an errand. Now, with camera recordings, obviously if a parent was to see at any point that the children were left alone, they would quickly withdraw their children from that daycare, and they would make it a point to let others know that this issue is going on. So if we have the camera recordings available in the classrooms, it kind of allows ourselves to give a more in-depth feedback as far as what's going on with our children in the classroom, so that other parents don't have to encounter this same issue. So, in close, we need to make sure that our children are the utmost priority. If we can make it to where our grocery stores and our parking lots have cameras, how is it that with today's technology we haven't already mandated that the children daycares have camera recording set up in them? This is something that we need to make action plans and get out and actually do something of, because our children's safety is of the utmost importance, and without that, what are we really fighting for in this country if we're just allowing our children to die of such a senseless death? So, thank you.